My personal value was at rock bottom. His mission was to keep me in a traumatic circle. My biggest fear was to make a decision that would compromise my opportunities and my job. Let's remember that it was through work that I met him. And many times he threatened to talk to his friends in the industry, his connections, so that they wouldn't give me any more work. For this reason, it was so hard for me to block him from my life completely, because I knew he would take revenge on me, and that is exactly what he did after I reported him to the law. He smeared my name and moved all his connections to try to close my doors in the industry. For a long time, I blamed and judged myself for having fallen again and again into this manipulation of the false prince. Today, I understand that if they can fool psychologists, how can they not fool me, the victims, and society? It is difficult not to fall into these manipulations when they use your family, the memory of your dad, your pet, your children, or when they swear by the most sacred thing that they will never hurt you again. Then you discover that there is nothing sacred to them. That is why it isn't by chance that their targets, the people they hunt, are mainly empathic. The violence began to escalate and to show with insults, screams, struggles, and aggressions. He would push me very hard against the wall, and my head would consequently hit with the wall. The bumps began to appear, and the bruises on my knees were more frequent. They were caused by strong pushes that made me fall to the floor. Once he pushed me so hard that I almost broke my face on the corner of the bed. Since he wasn't giving me the blows, he would brainwash me into thinking they were accidents, and then he would hug me as if nothing happened. I refused to accept these behaviors and complained to him. I would speak out against his mistreatment, but he blamed me. He said it was my fault because I provoked him, and he told me that I was a fucking macho because I didn't let him tame me. Are we destined to be abused because we are women? I don't think so. The more I fought for my liberation, the more I realized that he wasn't right in the head. This is why I kept for years evidence of his control, his harassment, his manipulations. You can see the evidence in the evidence link. I know there are many people and women who can analyze, compare, and learn about this pattern of behavior. Many women need to open their eyes to the red flags and to these signs. On one occasion, when I decided to end the relationship, there was another big red flag. He hinted to me that he felt like taking his own life if we didn't get back together. He claimed that voices were telling him to do it. This happened after I discovered a secret Facebook account where he used to talk and connect with women. This Facebook account he had opened on a phone that I had lent him to go on a work tour. The day I discovered him in this move, I experienced for the first time the horrible episodes that his ex went through. He recorded me applying the technique of reactive abuse. It all started in a very strange and violent way. In his desperation to take away my phone, on the one he had the secret account, he started a struggle and broke my lip. I reacted to defend myself from his provocations and violence, and then he started filming. And in front of the camera, he completely changed his character. From being the aggressor, he became the assaulted, the victim. I was perplexed to see the abrupt change of character just when he pressed the record button. He was no longer aggressive. Now he was peaceful and with a subtle, half-anxious and desperate voice. But I didn't understand at that time. Well, Dr. Iñaki mentions that a strategy used by this pathology is to provoke their victims, taking them to extreme levels of emotional imbalance so that they explode and thus make them responsible or guilty for any violent episode or anger. And these tend to happen when their mask falls. Thus, they adopt the role of victimhood and become the abused. This was the role, the character he played during all the legal battles. While he was recording, he was screaming as if I was hitting him. He was saying, "You're hitting me, you're hitting me." I didn't understand why he was shouting that I was hitting him. It didn't make sense to me, and even less when it was him who had previously hit me. And just when I decided to show my busted lip to the same camera he was filming me with, he conveniently changed the camera angle and pretended that he didn't hit me. These are techniques of gaslighting, denied that he had attacked me, and reactive abuse, plus a criminal mind. I asked him to leave my apartment, but before leaving, to delete the video. I finally gave up insisting that he delete the video because I just wanted him to get the hell out of my home. What I didn't know at that time was that a year later, during my violence case, he would use this same video to accuse me of kidnapping him so that I would end up in jail and defame me. I will elaborate on this later. It is important for you to know that this is the reason why these people record using reactive abuse. They use the emotional state of the victim, either through videos, audios, or an undercover phone calls. These videos, audios, or phone calls are incriminating evidence previously calculated to escape justice and somehow get away with crimes. And of course, turn the story around and destroy their prey, their reputation, and blackmail them. It is not one, nor it is two. There are 3 women who claim to have received this type of abuse and to have been illegally recorded by him. But there are possibly many more victims, more women who have been through this. Reactive abuse is very characteristic of narcissistic disorder, especially malignant narcissism. Another example of this same technique, the victimhood, can also be seen in the case of Gabby Petito. In the police cameras, we see how Brian Laundrie, her fiancé, adopted the role of victim, claiming to be the abused one, when a witness had already seen him beating her. She looked extremely upset and nervous. The police fell into the trap of narcissistic victimhood. And today we know that she was sadly murdered and that he cowardly fled. Do you know something? I've given this a lot of thought, and I have noticed that if we don't pay attention to this pattern of behavior and their strategies, they will claim the lives of many more victims, or they will get away with many crimes. That is why it is good to educate ourselves and expose the techniques used by these type of predators in order to save the lives, the reputation, and the freedom of thousands more, so we can get trapped in these circles. And this is not about women versus men. This is about together co-creating a society that is transparent and aware that this issue exists everywhere. In entertainment, in sports, in big corporations, and small families, violence stains us all. It's everyone's business. And together we can create positive changes. And yes, it all starts at home and those first values. But there are children who grow up without a stable home, without values, without love, and how to give something you don't have. Still, we can always choose to be good people. I deeply believe that. We must be aware and responsible for the damage we can inflict on a human being by mistreating him or her, either physically or psychologically or emotionally. Violence is often born of rage or fury, pain, and disillusion that exists in our hearts from those wounds that have not yet healed. Or it comes from lack of love. Or it comes from the mind of a harmful personality that simply functions differently, a destructive personality. Today, I understand the whole play, the whole board, and the depth of the damage done. I understand that it was all a vile character, and I accept with compassion that I was trapped in a hell that I didn't know how to get rid of in a healthy way, so that my job's opportunity would not be affected. Between promiscuity, control, harassment, manipulation, aggression, crime, violence, and false promises of change, not only did my self-esteem and personal power went to shed, even my health was compromised. It was disgusting and painful at the same time. One of the things I learned from a violent relationship was to know myself and to see clearly the damage we are sometimes willing to endure, whether for work, for money, for a false stability, or for an apparent ideal relationship. No one deserves to suffer or go through traumatic or violent situations, but we can always learn from those situations and from ourselves. I learned about my worth, about psychology, and what true self-love is. And I've learned it the hard way because I experienced what it was like to have my self-esteem on the fucking floor. And if you are going through a situation like this, I want to tell you with all my love, strength, and compassion that you need to get out of there. If you have gone through unfair, toxic, abusive, and painful circumstances, as I was, I would like to help you recognize, validate, and release those experiences and emotions because you deserve it. Go to the link in the description, maggalife.com/liberation, and get your masterclass and workbook. It's free. Let's start your journey today. With love, Magdiel.